The ocean holds so many secrets that humans would naturally want to explore, but its deep and unpredictable nature makes it harder for us to do explorations and observations. In fact, even during this year, only 5% of the ocean has been explored and charted. 95% still remains mysterious for us. With our desire to know the depths of the ocean, experts and engineers have built submarines. Through the years, they've been helping scientists see what lies under the sea. Submarines are also known to be military weapons or machines that ensure the safety of a certain territory. However, its functions are not limited to that alone. Submarines are also used for rescue operations, especially in cases where authorities need to plot down where a sunken ship is. OceanGate, although years late, wanted to do what was not possible before. They wanted to explore the sunken Titanic through their new Titan submersible. But what was supposed to be a learning-filled exploration became a catastrophe. Who would have thought that very important people, CEOs, and experts would not be led to the Titanic but to their last breath? Hello and welcome back to Lord Gizmo. In today's video, we'll be looking at the OceanGate's submarine catastrophe. But before that, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to this channel for more related content. Brief background. On June 18, 2023, people around the world were shocked by the news on a submersible experiencing an accident during an expedition. This submersible was named the Titan, manufactured by OceanGate for the purpose of seeing the wreck of the Titanic in the North Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. Reports say that the submersible carried 5 men who play important roles in the field of ocean exploration. These were Stockton Rush, the American CEO of OceanGate, Paul Henry Nargoliot, a French deep-sea explorer and Titanic expert, Hamish Harding, a British businessman, Shahzada Dawood, a Pakistani-British businessman, and Dawood's son, Sulman. Upon initial reports, no one knew where the submersible was. People around the world were waiting for additional information as to what really happened. Just when they thought the accident could be solved in a few hours, experts were shocked by other information. They suspected that the submersible had already imploded. But before we get into more details, it's important that we get to know OceanGate as a company first, the Titan submersible, and other key factors that might have affected the incident. OceanGate. A well-known aviation and space travel enthusiast, Stockton Rush converted his love of underwater research into a successful business. He planned to buy a submarine after making investments in computer businesses, but he was disappointed to learn that there were only a little more than 100 privately owned submarines on the globe. In 2006, he constructed SUDS, a Kittredge K-350 submarine, after realizing a gap in the market for exclusive ocean exploration. Rush thought that the government's strict regulations and the public's perception of submersibles as dangerous vehicles had hurt the sector. He attacked the 1993 Passenger Vessel Safety Act for putting consumer protection ahead of economic innovation. Rush commissioned a marketing analysis that revealed that there was a substantial market for ocean tourism that would finance the creation of new, deep-diving submersibles for industrial endeavors like resource extraction and disaster relief. Atlantis Adventures launched the underwater tourist sector in 1986 by offering submersible tours of coral reefs close to Grand Cayman Island. Although these were typically operated at shallow depths, nearly 2 million passengers spent $150 million in 2003 to ride underwater in submersibles. Back in 2009, Stockton Rush and Guillermo Solonlin founded the company OceanGate. They've made their name by manufacturing and producing crewed submersibles for tourism, industry, research, and exploration. This has become a well-known American privately owned company based in Everett, Washington. During its early years, the company first acquired the submersible vessel named Antipodes. It has a steel hull and is a used 5-person boat. Passengers often paid between $7,500 and $40,000 per person every voyage. Between 2010 and 2013, the company conducted over 130 dives using Antipodes, renting it out for hire to researchers and carrying tourists who were referred to as citizen scientists. In 2010, OceanGate staged its maiden expedition for tourists, taking them to Catalina Island off the coast of California. The corporation hired marine biologists to serve as knowledgeable guides in order to improve the visitor experience. 2010 saw OceanGate and the University of Washington worked together to test robotic arms and sonar technology. Antipods was employed in 2011 to survey and map the SS Governor's ruins. OceanGate conducted operations in Miami, Florida in 2012 and 2013, working with the Miami-Dade Artificial Reefs program to look into the lionfish outbreak. After a while, the company started building its own submersible called the Cyclops 1. This happened during the year 2013, where the company wanted to create their own unique and cost-effective designs of submersibles. Sonlin, one of the founders, left the company during the same year. He only retained a minority stake because he knew that the direction of the company was already towards the expertise of Rush or engineering. OceanGate worked with the University of Washington and Boeing to build Cyclops 1, its first specially made submarine. They utilized 12-year-old Lula from Azores as their hull instead of a carbon fiber one. The cylindrical steel shell of Cyclops 1 was removed from the Lula and unveiled in 2015. The business relocated its main offices to the Waterfront Center in the port of Everett in Everett, Washington. For Cyclops 2, a submersible that was launched in 2018, OceanGate ordered titanium components. The submersible was given the new name Titan in 2018, and Spencer Composites developed and constructed the hull. In 2018 and 2019, testing was conducted. OceanGate made plans to build Cyclops 3 and 4 submersibles with a 6,000-meter maximum depth public in 2019. A new round of investments totaling $18.1 million would be used to fund the development of the hulls at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. In order to advance manufacturing and materials for American business, NASA participated under a Space Act agreement. In response to the COVID-19 epidemic, OceanGate submitted a PPP financing application for about $450,000 based on 22 jobs. On board the submersible Titan, OceanGate made dives to the Titanic in 2021 to 2022. Rush discovered that going to shipwreck locations could help him gain media attention. Earlier visits by OceanGate to other shipwrecks included a dive in 2016 aboard their other submersible Cyclops 1 to the Andrea Doria. OceanGate began transporting paying guests to the Titan in 2021 so they could visit and witness the Titanic wreck. A passenger on an OceanGate voyage to the Titanic shipwreck cost $250,000 per person as of 2022. OceanGate transported paying customers and rented commercial submersibles off the coast of California, in the Gulf of Mexico, and in the Atlantic Ocean from 2010 until the Titan submersible's demise. The Titan submersible. Stockton Rush took pride in his personality as a risk-taker. This attitude even manifested in his work, causing him to get dubbed as a maverick, a disruptor, a breaker of rules. He was known to have this belief: if you're not breaking things, you're not innovating. He even said that he did not agree with what most submersible manufacturers would do. For him, development means that they need to break stuff. Stockton Rush believed that breaking things comes with innovation. This is how he was never afraid of trying new designs and styles in making submersibles. Titan, formerly known as Cyclops 2, was a 5-person submersible vessel operated by OceanGate Incorporated. The vessel, which was constructed from carbon fiber and titanium, was designed to reach 4,000 meters below sea level. It was downgraded to a depth rating of 3,000 meters in 2020 and in 2021 after demonstrating signs of cyclic fatigue. The carbon fiber was sourced at a discount from Boeing due to its age for use in their airplanes. OceanGate initially did not seek certification for Titan, arguing that excessive safety protocols hindered innovation. Lloyd's Register declined OceanGate's request to class the vessel in 2019. Titan could move up to 3 knots using 4 electric thrusters, arrayed 2 horizontal and 2 vertical. Its steering controls consisted of a Logitech F710 wireless game controller with modified analog sticks. The University of Washington's Applied Physics Laboratory assisted with the control design of the Cyclops 1 using a Sony brand PlayStation 3 video game controller. The use of commercial off-the-shelf game controllers is common for remote-controlled vehicles such as unmanned aerial vehicles or bomb disposal robots. OceanGate claimed that Titan was designed and engineered in collaboration with experts from NASA, Boeing, and the University of Washington. A 1/3 scale model of the Cyclops 2 pressure vessel was built and tested at the Applied Physics Laboratory, APL, at UW, able to sustain a pressure of 4,285 psi, 29.54 MPa, 29.1.6 ATM, corresponding to a depth of about 3,000 meters, 9,800 feet. After the disappearance of the Titan in 2023, these associates distanced themselves from the Titan project. According to OceanGate, Titan featured a number of backup systems designed to bring the ship back to the surface in the event of an emergency. These systems included thrusters, a balloon, droppable ballasts, and sandbags secured by hooks that disintegrated after a given amount of time in seawater. The sandbags should be released as a result, allowing the boat to rise to the surface. If the ship did not automatically climb after the allotted period, an OceanGate investor said that passengers on board might assist in releasing the ballast by tilting the ship back and forth to dislodge it, or by utilizing a pneumatic pump to loosen the weights. The Titan dives to the Titanic. OceanGate had planned to do this mission, which they called the Dive to the Titanic. This is composed of multi-day excursions and 5 missions that took place in the summers of 2021 and 2022. During these expeditions, passengers will have the opportunity to sail to and from the wreckage site aboard a support ship. The passengers have to spend around 5 days in the ocean above the wreckage site. If the weather allows them, there will be 2 dives allowed during each excursion. However, if there are any weather disturbances or technical malfunctions, diving will be postponed. In each of the dives, there will be a pilot, a guide, and 3 paying passengers on board. This is to ensure that the passengers are kept safe all the time. The design of this submersible is pretty unique because once the passengers are already inside it, the hatch will be bolted shut. The main purpose is to make sure that no water will get inside or that the submersible can handle the conditions underwater. However, the same design only allows the opening of the hatch from the outside. The full dive will take about 8 hours, but the process of descent from the surface to the Titanic only takes up around 2 hours. Throughout the duration of the dive, crew and staff above the water will monitor the submersible. To make sure that everything is running smoothly and safety is still ensured, a safety ping is expected to be received from the submersible to the crew every 15 minutes. In addition to that, people inside the submersible and OceanGate's crew above water can also communicate via short text messages. Through this, information that cannot be communicated via the ping can be sent to them. Part of OceanGate's program, or the Dive to the Titanic, is the notion to call customers as mission specialists. These people are also expected to pay around $250,000 each for the 8-day expedition. Over the years, OceanGate has conducted multiple dives already. However, during their dive in 2023, things took a different turn. After a few moments of that dive, communication between Titan and its mothership, Polar Prince, was lost for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. During this time, the crew started doing everything they could to track down the submersible. The moment they realized that the submersible failed to resurface at the scheduled time later that day, OceanGate alerted the authorities already. For a quick summary of events, the submersible was missing for 4 days already when a remotely operated underwater vehicle, ROV, discovered a debris field containing parts of Titan about 500 meters from the bow of the Titanic. The United States Navy sonar detected an acoustic signature consistent with an implosion around the time communications with the submersible stopped, suggesting the pressure hull had imploded while Titan was descending and all 5 occupants had died instantly. This information helps narrow down the search area. Several commercial and research vessels, ROVs, and aircraft from the Royal Canadian Air Force and United States Air National Guard supported the international team leading the search and rescue operation, which was carried out by the United States Coast Guard, USCG, United States Navy, USN, and Canadian Coast Guard. The timeline of the Titan catastrophe. To have a better grasp on what took place, it's important to discuss the timeline of the catastrophe. Let's take a look at where and how it all began. On the 18th day of June 2023, the 21-foot sealed submersible called Titan was scheduled to be submerged at 8 a.m. The whole dive was planned to only last for around 4 days, so the submersible only had 96-hour oxygen supply for the 5 people on board. Just like how the usual dives would go, the submersible was sealed shut and people on board were starting their journey to the wreckage of the Titanic. After around 1 hour and 45 minutes, the Titan submersible lost contact with its operator. They tried to track it down again and again, but they were unsuccessful. They waited until the scheduled resurfacing of the submersible at 3 p.m. that day, but nothing took place. Around 5:40 p.m., they decided to report the incident to the United States Coast Guard. The next day, the 19th of June 2023, using a variety of aircraft, including one with underwater sonar capability, the U.S. Coast Guard conducted a surface search for the missing submersible in collaboration with the Canadian Coast Guard and the Canadian Armed Forces. On Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, as early as 7 a.m., different crews started to fly over the area of the Atlantic Ocean. They used different aircraft to look for any signs of resurfacing, according to Rear Admiral John Mauger, commander of the 1st Coast Guard District. They had to survey an area that's roughly as big as the size of Connecticut. It was difficult to search a wide area given the fact that the submersible in question had to go through such deep waters. So the Bohemian research vessel Deep Energy, which specializes in pipelaying and has remotely operated vehicle capabilities, decided to help with the search. They also arrived at the same time as the crews to make sure that they get the most out of the time left for them. After some time, it can be recalled that few sources have been circulated around the internet. They were reporting that some sounds similar to banging were picked up by the sonar in the area searched that morning. However, even with this lead, not much information was picked up. It was still a challenge for the authorities to look for any physical evidence of where the submersible was. A crew from the New York Air National Guard showed up to assist with the search about 4 o'clock. A day after, on the 21st of June 2023, the Coast Guard, sent out a tweet informing the public that a Canadian aircraft with sonar capabilities had detected underwater noises in the search of the area. They wanted to explore or find out where the sources came from, so they decided to relocate and move the remotely operated vehicle operations. However, as their operations ended, they found out that there were negative results. Again, they informed the public about this over a tweet. The U.S. Coast Guard decided that it's best to send the data on the noises to the United States Navy. This was done in hopes of finding other leads that they failed to see. True enough, the U.S. Navy had crucial help to bring. The officials told reporters that they were able to bring in a portable crane system. This crane is able to bring up items even when it's as deep as 20,000 feet. During that time, it had arrived at St. John's, Newfoundland, but it was still waiting for a chartered ship so it could go to the site. Unfortunately, the U.S. Navy was still unable to get a ship for that particular operation. They still had to contact the Flyaway Deep Ocean Salvage System, or FADOS. According to the official, after the ship is contracted, the U.S. Navy specialists will labor nonstop for roughly 24 hours to weld the system aboard the ship before it can leave port. The U.S. Navy uses FADOS as its primary deep-water salvage system. On the 22nd day of June 2023, the U.S. Coast Guard once again sent out a tweet to inform the public that a remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, deployed by the Canadian vessel Horizon Arctic has reached the sea floor. This signals the beginning for the search of the missing submersible. The OceanGate crew, while monitoring whatever data was left off the submersible, reported that it will soon run out of their 96-hour oxygen supply. Based on their forecast, if they are still unable to reach the submersible by morning, the people on board will no longer have any access to oxygen. It will get even harder to rescue them. They wanted to make sure that everything was done in order to look for the submersible, so the French vessel La Atlante, after the calls for the help from the US Coast Guard, deployed their ROV into the search area too. After a few minutes, around 8 in the morning that day, the Royal Canadian Navy's HMCS Glace Bay also arrived on the scene. Their arrival brought about a ship with a team of experts. In this ship is a medical team specializing in dive medicine and a 6-person mobile hypobaric recompression chamber. In addition to those teams, the Canadian Coast Guard ships John Cabot, Anne Harvey, and Terry Fox were also deployed to the scene. Their main purpose is to provide rescue equipment and personnel in instances that help is needed. The whole search and rescue operation was also assisted by the Royal Canadian Air Force CP-140 Aurora aircraft that provided continuous on-scene support with additional air crews and assets. Their search did not become futile because they were soon to develop possible leads to the case. Around 11:48 in the morning, the U.S. Coast Guard informed the public that they discovered a debris field within the search area by an ROV near the Titanic. They immediately evaluated the information to make sure that it was really from the Titan submersible. The clock was constantly ticking. They had no time to waste, and every second that passed by felt like a heavy death sentence. Everyone was stressed out and worried. They all exerted all the effort they can just to look for the people inside the submersible. Afternoon came and it was already past the forecasted time when the oxygen supply of the Titan will run out. This has led experts and staff to just issue a statement to the public. In the statement, they brought in bad news that would weigh down everyone anticipating the results. They suspected that all 5 people on board were already dead. They made this interference after the fact that a person can only survive a few minutes without energy. In fact, after 4 minutes of having no access to oxygen, a person's brain will start developing permanent brain damage. Then death will soon follow in the 5th or 6th minute. Given that it's been hours since the forecasted time of oxygen depletion in the Titan submersible, even when it was extremely sad, it was logical to suspect that maybe everyone there is dead. Even with that assumption, they could just not stop looking for the submersible. Even when they're not sure whether they're able to get any remains, the whole search and rescue operation continues. True enough, at around 3 p.m., the U.S. Coast Guard announced during a press conference that an ROV has located the tail cone of the submersible about 1,600 feet from the bow of the wrecked Titanic. According to their analysis, the debris they found was in line with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. They also took this time to tell reporters and the public that they were already able to contact and inform the families of the involved about the progress of the case. The ROV found 5 significant parts of the Titan, including its nose cone and pressure hull, in a big debris field and a smaller debris field adjacent, indicating a significant implosion had taken place. It was too early to determine the precise time of the implosion at the time. It was also uncertain how much the ship could be recovered and whether crews would be able to recover the bodies of those who died. During this press conference, it was also revealed that the 2 ROVs, one from France and the other from Canada, was still remaining to continue the mapping. This will be their operation made solely to analyze the debris fields. Later that day, at around 6 in the evening, a senior U.S. Navy officials confirmed to ABC News that an underwater acoustic detection system heard on Sunday what was likely the implosion of the missing submersible. They immediately shared it with the U.S. Coast Guard so they can immediately start the analysis of this data. They analyzed these noises picked up by the sonar buoys on Tuesday. They took note that they were banging noises, however the analysts still brought them to a negative lead. They found out that the banging noises were either natural ocean sounds, biological noises, or noises associated with the surface response vessels. As of right now, according to its website, OceanGate has ceased all commercial and exploratory activities. A banner on the website stated, OceanGate has suspended all commercial and exploration activities. According to OceanGate's website, 2 missions to see the Titanic disaster were scheduled for June 2024. Expeditions were put on hold more than 2 weeks after OceanGate's tourist submarine burst, killing everyone on board, including the CEO of the company. Authorities from the US and Canada are looking into the catastrophic implosion that claimed all 5 lives on board and highlighted concerns about how unregulated such excursions are. After scouring the ocean below in July of last year, the US Coast Guard brought wreckage and presumed human remains back to the submersible Titan. More information regarding the implosion caused should become clearer after the debris is examined. On June 18th, the Titan lost touch with its assisting ship while it was descending. 4 days later, its remains were discovered scattered across the bottom 1,600 feet, 488 meters from the Titanic wreck's bow. Prior concerns. Even when the investigation seems to have come to an end, a lot of industry experts have still expressed their concerns on the safety of the vessel. Many of them believed that Russia's unique way of approaching innovation has led to their own demise. To the eyes of many experts, a lot of safety protocols and regulations have been violated. Here are some of the concerns experts were able to raise. The Titan submersible had the goal to explore the wreckage of Titanic that had been in the depths of the ocean. To do this, they had to withstand the pressure that came with being almost 4,000 meters below sea level. This means that they are really facing a great risk of getting lost or losing contact with the surface. Although the Titan, a Cyclops-class submersible, is said to have been able to dive more than 13,000 feet and has been designed to make 150 million pounds of pressure, but experts are in doubt if these claims are true or if the submersible is made out of quality materials. One among those missing is Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of OceanGate, the company that made Titan. Rush has been leading trips to the Titanic since 2021 and has years of technical experience. This was his 5th. Numerous cutting-edge safety systems, according to OceanGate, were installed aboard the Titan. But the company and their crew stated that the potential risks were already made clear to the passengers. It's part of their process that the people involved in the dive would sign a waiver before they get on board. This waiver is said to mention death 3 different times, so experts were skeptical as to why they added this much warning if they knew that their submersible was safe. They also claimed to have checkpoints and followed all standard checks and procedures before the actual dive happened. However, a lot of concerns whether industry safety standards have been met during this time, and they pointed out that OceanGate could have just declared that they do all standard checks but have not the right safety standards for similar operations. Rush was known to defy the standards of innovation. This is why he thought of making the Titan into a different submersible. It featured a larger interior thanks to its pill-shaped hull. The majority of submersibles have spherical hulls because they can better withstand the intense pressures of the deep water. The best shape for deep-sea pressure hulls is a spherical shell structure because it has the best mechanical characteristics for handling symmetrical pressure. However, a hull with a spherical shell construction subject is deep to steep pressure and must be exceedingly high shape accuracy standards. Its mechanical qualities can be considerably damaged even by a little imbalance. Rush's idea on having a different shaped hull is nice as a concept, but there's more complexity to it. This might have been one of the reasons why the Titan faced its unfortunate fate. The unfortunate submersible's hull was made out of carbon fiber, a less expensive material. Titanium, which is more expensive but stronger, is used in the majority of submersibles. Titan had titanium hemispheres on each end and had carbon fiber cylinder in the center. As a result, there were joints between the two materials which can be challenging to adequately seal. These design decisions may have increased Titan's susceptibility to failure. In order to withstand the pressure that increases as you descend further into the water, a spherical hull shape performs better than a tubular one. To withstand the same pressure, a larger hull needs to be thicker and stronger than one that is smaller. In contrast to Alvin, a scientific submersible that has successfully submerged more than 4,500 times since 1973, Titan's hull was largely built of carbon fiber. The whole hull of Alvin is titanium. Although carbon fiber is sturdy and light, it's better able to withstand pulling forces than squeezing forces. Carbon fiber may fracture or shatter when placed under the intense pressure of a deep-sea dive. Carbon fiber and titanium behave differently when compressed or expanded, which is another significant disadvantage. This may have an impact on how effectively their joints adhere to one another. The hull construction can also be weakened by additional elements such as water, salt, and the tightness on the hatch bolts. OceanGate put a lot of effort into Titan's testing, but none of the agencies that focus on ensuring the safety of deep diving ships certified their work. Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, claimed that certification would stifle innovation, while experts disagree, stating that testing and certification are crucial for safety. It's crucial to remember that certification is just one of the several factors to take into account when guaranteeing safety during deep-sea exploration. To make sure that they'll hold up well in real-world situations, the components used to build the submersible's hull and the submersible itself should go through thorough testing. This entails testing the submersible under conditions and pressures that are similar to those it will encounter in the water, as well as testing it for stress and damage over time. The design and building of the submersible must also involve a group of skilled experts with knowledge and deep-sea exploration and safety procedures. The engineers, material scientists, and safety experts on this team should focus on designing and constructing the submersible with safety in mind. To ensure that the submersible complies with all pertinent safety standards and laws, a complete testing and certification process must be in place. In order to guarantee that the submersible remains secure and dependable over the course of its life, this approach ought to incorporate both static and dynamic testing, as well as routine inspections and maintenance. By defying some of the conventional wisdom, OceanGate aimed to improve deep-sea exploration. Safety should always come first, but that can be a good thing. In order to make sure that the submersible is trustworthy and safe, experts advise paying close attention to testing and certification. The Titan vessel was set to be turned over to a new crew in January 2018 when specialists started sounding worried. David Lochridge, head of the machine operations for OceanGate, began writing a report that underlined the need for additional testing and the possible risks to passengers as the submersible descended to great depths. More than 32 prominent business figures, deep-sea explorers, and oceanographers cautioned OceanGate that their experimental methodology and choice to forego a conventional review could result in disastrous issues with the Titanic expedition. But because Rush believed that destruction is part of innovation, they still went with their plan. They still did the dive, which led to their destruction too. Throughout the several months experts spent on the investigation, there have been a lot of conspiracy theories that arise. Some people believe it just malfunctioned, some saw the possibility that it collided with another object, and while other people want to explore the possibility that it was sabotaged. No matter what the cause may be, there are still no leads or signs as to where the submersible is. This matter must be a hard lesson that all manufacturing companies should learn. Even if it's very tempting to explore what's uncharted, it's important to remember that if it's uncharted for a reason, it poses a great deal of threat and can possibly lead to the death of many. That ends our video exploring what happened with the OceanGate submarine. We appreciate your company while we explore the world of engines and ships. We hope you found this video informative and entertaining. If you want to dive deeper on this topic of submarines, we also have a separate video on the manufacturing process of a massive $3 billion attack submarine, extreme engineering project. We'll see you there. If you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content like this. And remember to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay tuned for more amazing tools and construction equipment that will leave you in awe. Thanks for watching.